Donald Trump's proposed peace agreement is teetering on the very brink of total collapse before it has even truly begun. Russia has just launched an unprecedented and massive aerial strike on Ukraine, occurring right in the midst of the recently declared energy infrastructure truce. While Trump was announcing personal agreements with Putin, dozens of missiles were launched at Kyiv. The White House's response shocked many. Trump said he was not surprised. Is this cold calculation or an admission of failure? Now we'll tell you everything the official reports are hiding. And there's more information in our report. My name is Yevhen Sirov. This is the Glavred channel. Subscribe and give us a like. Let's get started. On February 3rd, 2026, the situation on the Ukrainian front escalated to the limit. Just a day after Trump publicly announced the achievement of a temporary truce, the Russian army delivered one of the most powerful strikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Let's reconstruct the chronology. Last week, Trump personally appealed to Putin with a request to stop strikes on cities and critical infrastructure for at least 7 days. The reason was the abnormal frosts that hit the region. In Kyiv, the temperature dropped to -20 degrees. Trump presented this as his personal diplomatic victory. He agreed, and it was very gracious, the President of the United States said as recently as Thursday. However, the reality turned out to be different. The Kremlin initially confirmed a pause only until Sunday, and in the night leading into Tuesday, unleashed a record number of missiles and drones on Ukrainian cities. According to the president, more than 70 ballistic missiles and about 450 drones were launched. More than 1,000 residential buildings in Kyiv alone were left without heat at the very peak of the cold. The whole world was waiting to see how Trump would respond, as his word had effectively been devalued by this strike. The reaction turned out to be extremely restrained, if not outright strange. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters that Trump, and I quote, "unfortunately is not surprised by what happened." What is behind this phrase? Experts from Glavred and international analysts believe that Trump is beginning to realize the complexity of negotiating with Moscow, negotiations he had promised to conclude within 24 hours. Despite public optimism and statements that the parties are very close to an agreement, the Kremlin continues to use escalation tactics right before decisive meetings. By the way, speaking of meetings, this strike happened just a few hours before the start of crucial trilateral negotiations in Abu Dhabi, where Trump sent his special envoy, Witkoff. It seems that Moscow is deliberately raising the stakes in order to dictate its terms at the negotiating table. Volodymyr Zelensky has already called this terror during the coldest days of winter and urged partners not to remain silent in response to the violation of agreements. So, we are witnessing a dangerous game on the edge of a foul. Trump is trying to maintain the image of a peacemaker, while Putin is testing his resolve with missiles. The coming days in Abu Dhabi will show whether Trump's apparent lack of surprise will eventually turn into real, concrete economic sanctions or decisive military measures. Or if the current fragile ceasefire will remain just empty words on a piece of paper, ultimately proving to be not worth a single dime in the long run.